Welcome back, storytellers, to the Garlic Marketing Show. Today, we're going to talk about the importance of directories, the importance of agencies, how to hire internally, a lot of cool stuff. Our guest today is John Doherty from Credo. But before we get started, don't forget this is brought to you by storycruise.com, where you can find people to make videos for you, but also you can find resources for creating customer stories for your agency or your business. Probably the most important resource out there is your case stories. So go to storycruise.com/case story to learn more. John Doherty from Credo.com. Thank you for being on the show.
Ian, what's up, man? Nice to be here. Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. So, let's real quick, tell me what Credo is. And then we're going to talk a little bit about, maximizing the difference between directories and a matchmaker and all that stuff. John, tell me a little bit about Credo.
Yeah, for sure. So quick background about me, based in Denver, Colorado. I've been in digital marketing for about a decade now, agency side, in-house, solo, freelance, SEO consultant. So I've been in the game for a long time. And so basically I started Credo under a different brand name, actually in 2013 out of my apartment in Brooklyn, because I had people coming to me wanting to work with me. And I basically decided I wasn't going to be doing any more consulting. I got to the end of 2012 and was spending a couple weekends a month in my apartment by myself, doing work for clients for money that I didn't need anymore. So I was like, all right, I'm getting rid of them. People are like, who should I work? My clients were like, who should I work with? People come to me. I'm not taking on clients. Who should I work? Or I'm not taking on clients. They're like, well, who should I work with? I don't know. I can find you someone. And so sold a lead to my buddy, Brandon. He sent me $50 through PayPal. He closed the work into thousands of dollars worth of work. I bought a domain name. So I think he got the better end of the deal short term, but longer term, we're both doing okay.
Nice.
But so Credo is we're a small team, 5 of us. We're actually all here in Denver, though we're remote. So I don't care where people are, when I hire them in the US, doesn't matter to me, but we just happen to all be in Denver. So basically Credo is in the digital marketing space. We're a network. Credo is a network of pre-vetted certified digital marketing providers. And we help companies that are looking to find they're trying to grow and trying to do that through hiring an outsourced provider. We connect them up with and help them basically hire the right one for them. So we're not a directory. We're not an agency. We kind of sit in the middle there. We're basically, we like to position ourselves, Ian. I like to position myself as the hiring experts in the digital marketing space. So I spend most of my time not thinking about marketing and how to do whatever when it comes to SEO, inbound growth marketing, even though that's my background. I think about how do we help people actually get the right people in place, kind of the who, not how, so that they can grow their company. Nice.
And what are the keys to that? So you get these leads, and I'm assuming that you're using like that hiring mentality in there. Where did you realize that this was needed? I mean, besides, because you've got a lead, but there's a differentiator between just getting a lead and making sure it's the right person, right?
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. So there's a lot that goes into it. And a lot of it comes down to kind of where is the client, or at this point they're a prospect, right? Where's the prospect in their journey to hiring? Because sometimes they're going to be like, well, I'm just starting conversations. I'm thinking about it. We don't hear this as much like in a post-COVID world, or in a, what is it? Our current COVID world, I guess. We're not post-COVID, unfortunately. But pre-COVID, we get a lot of people that was kind of like a FOMO mentality, right? Like, oh, our competitors are doing a ton with SEO and we feel like we're missing out. And so we're investigating it, right? You get some people that are just fishing for information, other people that have no freaking idea what they're talking about or what they're looking for. And so they're kind of a waste of everybody's time. But then you get the people, and honestly, the best people for us to help are the ones that they're like, we've done SEO in the past. They've maybe worked with an agency, or they're working with a consultant, that's giving them good strategy, but they need to execute on it, that kind of thing. So they have a reasonable budget, they have reasonable expectations, and they actually know a little bit, right? It's kind of the know enough to be dangerous people, but not the people that, know enough to be dangerous, but also think that they know, that they're an expert themselves. So part of our work, honestly, is really determining where are people that contact us that are looking to hire, where are they in their maturity to hiring. And then for the right ones, we're a really good fit, right? If people think that they know exactly what they need, I've had so many people be like, I need SEO and content marketing and link building and PPC and ad creative created. Oh, and by the way, can you do web development? And I want a solo consultant. And I'm like, that person does not exist.
No.
Like literally does not exist.
And I want them to be an intern, right?
Right. And I want to pay $300 a month, right? Like I'm like, that person just does not exist. And even if they did, you could not afford them. Like not many people could afford them, you know?
And they're running their own business.
Exactly. Yeah. You're trying to hire me, right? Like, and that's just, you can't hire me. So there's a lot of that, like sort of managing of expectations. So really what we're looking for when someone contacts us and they say like, I'm looking to grow my business, right? I'm thinking about SEO. And so then we start talking about a little bit deeper. And also like, what are your expectations? What are your goals, right? When we're talking about SEO, have you done technical? Have you been producing content? Have you, done any link building? That sort of thing. And then really what we match based on is like, what budget are they expecting to spend? Because most agencies, a lot of agencies listening to this show, you told me, most agencies have kind of a floor, kind of a minimum size project that they take, right?
Yep.
In order to make it like get returns in a reasonable amount of time, cover costs, like, all that sort of stuff, make it worth working with the person because they take up headspace. So, what budget is the client expecting? What are their expectations? What's their experience? What kind of business are they? So e-commerce, SaaS, et cetera. And then also ideally, what vertical are they in? And we find that, some, especially like service-based businesses where it's like often the founder we're talking with, so lawyers, realtors, accountants, et cetera, they want someone that like has experience working with lawyers, right? Versus like SaaS companies care a lot less if they have experience in the specific space. They care more that they have experience growing SaaS companies that, that really are caring about MRR. Driving leads and MRR is what they care about, right? Versus e-commerce, it's a whole nother thing. They don't care so much if they've worked in the fashion space. They care that the agency knows how to grow an e-commerce company. So we've learned all these things over the years that help us do a better job of matching. And we built out, custom software to help us do a good job of facilitating that.
You talked about the journey, right? We talked about the journey from being educated enough to hire the right person. I mean, is it you only do it the hard way and you hire a lot of the wrong people to get to the point where, hey, I can go to Credo and get it? Or is there a way for a business to kind of leap forward and really figure out and hire the right way and get the right mentality?
It's a good question, Ian. And I'm going to try to do the question justice with my answer. It is true that, like they say, you got to kiss a lot of frogs, right? Like there are people that, a lot of businesses that we see, they've gone through the process of, usually they start off working with freelancers, right? They've used an Upwork or something like that, which meets a need in the market. Don't get me wrong. Like I respect Upwork a ton. They've done an awesome job building an awesome business for certain people. I've hired freelancers through there, but that's kind of where you start because it's cheaper work, it's by the hour, that sort of thing, and then you kind of level up and maybe you work with a small agency or you work with a solo consultant, something like that, as you're getting more mature in your practice, and then ultimately, most companies work up to where they need an agency because they need multiple channels run, right? They don't just need strategy, they need services as well, or they don't just need services, they need strategy as well, right? Agencies can usually offer both. But there is kind of the maturity of companies. And if you don't know how to manage an agency, most people learn how to manage outsourced providers by hiring cheap outsourced freelancers and effing it up. And then they get better at managing them as they move forward, right? My goal, like ultimately, is for, to help the people that have done that before and have learned a lot of lessons. And then, over time, educating the market about the best ways to kind of, manage agencies, what you need set up internally, that kind of thing. So is there a way to shortcut it? There's a way to shortcut the time it takes to learn those lessons. We see a lot of companies that they're like, I'm talking with 40 agencies and I'm like, what are you doing? And like, do you even know what you're looking for? They're like, no. I'm like, holy crap. Like you're going to spend 6 months basically full time trying to hire an agency and you're probably going to hire the wrong person. Right. Yeah. Like RFPs make zero sense to me, Ian. I'll be completely honest. Yeah. They make zero sense to me. Like we had a company come through last week that they were like, and just to be frank, they weren't a fit for how we work. They were like, okay, but any agency you match us up with, we want them to sign this like letter of intent that they're interested in pitching our work before we even have a conversation with them. And I was like, what? They're like, yeah, we have too many people like that we're already talking to. And we're like, then why are you talking to us to get more introductions? Like that doesn't even make sense. But we hear that time and time again, right? I'm talking to too many people. And oh, by the way, here's my RFP. Let me know if you want to pitch. That doesn't make sense.
No.
So basically what we try to do is we try to collapse the hiring time from like average 8 to 10 weeks in the digital marketing space, which I'm sure you've seen, Ian, which I'm sure will resonate with a lot of people. That's kind of the sales process. Most people that hire an agency through Credo do it in about 3 to 4. So we've been able to collapse it down by like 50, 60, 70%, the time to actually hire and get started with the right provider.
You made a good point about RFPs, requests for proposals. I want to dive into that because I feel the same way as you do. I think that when I see one, I'm like, you're going to end up with a piece of crap product that's going to take 2 years and it's going to be really, really bad.
Right.
What's your opinion? I mean, now that I've told you mine, why do you say RFPs are bad?
They're bad for a couple of different reasons. They're bad from both sides, in my humble opinion. On the company hiring side, for the most part, especially if they're just kind of like trying to find a list of people to send it out to, they haven't done any sort of vetting, right? And what they're going to get back is like, and they're not even willing to have conversations with the agencies that are pitching, right? So they're going to get back a bunch of pitches. They're basically like, in my opinion, it seems like a lot of them are fishing for kind of free advice. Like, if you're going to do this, what would you do? Right. And then sometimes they're like, all right, cool. We're just going to go do that and not hire anybody. But often, they get a ton of pitches. They're all over the place, budget wise, scope wise, et cetera. And they just waste a ton of time kind of going through all of them. Right. Like people do an RFP when they have no freaking idea what they're looking for. Mm-hmm. And then on the agency side, you end up I recently had a buddy that was invited to pitch a huge RFP, but they already work with one of the branches of this large finance company. And so in that case, like, I'm like, dude, do it, like, go for it. And, they might win it. Like it would be a huge contract for them, but they're already working with this company, right? They're already an approved vendor. They already have an in, right? So they actually have a chance at winning it. Otherwise, like most agencies, when they receive an RFP, you have to recognize that they're not actually seriously going to consider you. They probably already have 1 to 3 agencies that are, the front runners. Unless they really mess it up, one of them is going to win it, right? But there are a lot of big companies, Ian, that are required to send RFPs to get a lot of different bids. Mm-hmm. And then basically they still just take the 1 or 2 that they already knew that they were going to pick to take to their board. They still just take those 2 to their board. So it ends up being a huge waste of time for agencies as well. Yeah. I see agencies sink weeks of sales time into these, and then they never even hear back. And I'm like, what are you doing? Like, that makes no sense to me. Like, you're pitching this maybe one whale, and you just completely ignored all these other like amazing big fish that, would pay you, like, in aggregate will pay you more than this one. You're not going to risk your agency. If you lose that contract, you have to lay off half your team. You've diversified your risk. I don't know. Maybe I'm more risk adverse than I should be, but it just doesn't make sense to me.
No, it doesn't. And I mean, I feel from the other side, I know companies do have to put RFPs out, but you end up with, at the end, they look at cost, right? Because they don't there's no way to quantify the different levels of service in an RFP, because you have 5 different costs for websites. You have no idea what those websites entail on the other side, messaging, whatever. And anyone that's worth their weight is not going to fill it out. And you're going to end up with the lowest cost provider that's probably not the best. And
Exactly. Well, and here's the reality, Ian. I mean, I'm glad you mentioned pricing, because this is something I see all the time, where a lot of marketing agencies, man, like, they're so bad at pitching work. They're so bad at sales. There's a reason why I have like an agency accelerator that focuses on sales, and I've done like personal coaching with a lot of agencies on improving their sales process. Because they're so bad at closing work, right? You see these proposals and it's like SEO services, like line item, SEO services amount. And I'm like, what are they going to get for that? Right? They have nothing to base it off of. So I've had to basically convince marketing agencies, you need to put in a scope of work and actually line item out what stuff is. Because think about it this way, Ian, you pitch SEO services for $3,000. Right? That's literally your pitch. I've seen this so many times. And the client comes back and they say, well, like, we want to hire you, but we want to do it for $2,000. Can you do it for $2,000? You, as the agency pitching that, you have zero leverage, absolutely zero leverage there, right? You can't negotiate. It's a yes or no. Yes, we will, or no, we won't. Right? And so people will do it because agencies will do it because they They feel like they have to, right? They feel pot committed, or they need the revenue to keep paying their team, whatever that is. Versus if you break it out and you're like, okay, month 1 is going to look like this, and we're going to do all these things. Month 2 and 3 are going to look like this. We're going to do all of these things. Months 3 through 6 are going to be this. You're going to get X, Y, and Z. And you have it line itemed out. If they need to go from 3,000 to 2,000, okay, cool. What do you want to remove from the scope? Can't get $3,000 worth of work for $2,000, right? Let's get it down to $2,000, and maybe we'll get it down to like, it should be 22, and we'll give it to you for 2,200, and we'll give it to you for 2,000, because like we know that we're going to be able to show you an incredible return.
That's great.
Those are all sales tactics there. But man, if you don't start off with being able to like take individual things out and really like work alongside them to get it down to where it needs to be, it's either a yes or no, and you just end up making less money for the same amount of work, and that's not good for anybody.
No. And then you end up doing not as good work, and your client doesn't, because you don't have the capacity to do it. And we estimate poorly to begin with. I agree with you. Yeah.
And then you lose that client, and then you do the same thing for the next client, because you're even more desperate to bring in more revenue, and the vicious cycle continues, and agency owners hate their life.
Yeah. And from the standpoint of, if you are someone buying these services, I mean, do you go and negotiate with a heart surgeon? Like, can we do that for like $7,000, not 70? Yep. No,
exactly. No,
and marketing is the lifeblood of your business. Do you want to negotiate with someone? Oh, yeah. No one negotiates with attorneys, right? Or doctors.
True. I mean, they will shop around, right? And so like, look at hourly rates and that sort of stuff, which like everyone should, right? Get an idea of the ranges here and what you're going to get for those ranges, right? Like I actually use a grocery store analogy. So if you go to the grocery store, right? And we're all grocery shopping a ton more now because we're not going out to eat as much. But like you go to the grocery store, right? And you pick up a half gallon of milk. And let's say it costs $4 because it's organic milk, locally raised, pasture raised, whatever. You take it up to the front. If you say, can I actually get that for $3? They're going to be like, what are you talking about? Right. Or you ring up they're going to be like, no, it costs $4. Like that is the price, right? If you want to get milk for $3, you need to take back this organic, super fancy, whatever one, and get the one that is not that costs $2.99, that costs $3. That's how we get the price down, right? Like you can't get the more expensive thing for less just because you ask for it.
Yep.
Or, it rings up to $100. You can't just say, hey, can I actually just get that for 75? No, it costs $100. Like that's not how it works. You want to get down to 75. You need to remove, a certain number of items that gets it down by $25 to get to that 75 you wanted to hit. That's just how it works, right? It works the same way in buying services as well.
Yeah, for sure. And so when it talks about quality of services at Credo, I see you vet people. You're matching, and we talked a little bit about how you match them up. But when someone's going along, how should they be vetting an agency, and what should an agency be doing to make sure that they are, if I'm hopping on Credo, that I'm the best candidate for this?
Yeah.
And it's two questions, but I like to get two questions in one.
For sure. And I actually just wrote specifically around SEO, but just wrote, a blog post recently titled "How to Choose an SEO Company." And basically it walks people through the process that, we think through when it comes to the initial vetting and certifying, et cetera, matching them up. And then also more questions that, that they need to ask. At the top end, basically what we tell people is when you're having conversations with agencies, there's a few things you need to look at. These are things that we look at to certify them as well. Results, professionalism, and culture. So first one is, results, do they have a proven track record of getting results for a company like yours, right? Professionalism, do they have a process? Has to take a look at deliverables that they've delivered before, or reporting that they've delivered before. We look for branding. We look, is it free of typos? Like all that, all that sort of thing, right? Because that just shows that like they're a professional. Like they're not just some like fly by night, person, but they actually like can get you, they're going to be great to deal with basically. And then finally, culture. Do they work in the same way that you work, right? If you're a, hustle culture, working super hard, grinding 100 hours a week, and you want an agency like that, find an agency that works that way, that they're workaholics and they're proud of it, right? Versus if you're just working 35, 40 hours a week, you have a super sane business, you like to, set your schedule ahead of time and have weekly schedule catch-ups and, manage the metrics that way. Find an agency that works that way, not, one that says like, oh yeah, we can work that way if that's the way that you work. No, like, is that the way that you work or not? Okay, it is great. Let's continue that conversation, because that's the thing, man. When it comes to marketing, like the strategy, the frameworks mostly stay the same. Strategies change over time. Tactics especially change over time as the strategies change. But that culture and way of working part, and how you work through problems and issues and celebrate wins and all that sort of stuff, that's what really is going to drive things forward for you, whether that's internally with your team or externally with an outsourced agency.
It's fantastic. It's funny because when I talk about websites and talk about the content that you should have on your website and display, it's that exact order. It's right. Hey, the first thing someone wants to know is, have you helped someone like me? And then it says, okay, how do you do it? The process. And then it goes, okay, who are you? And then you go to the About Us page. Totally. And you can see it in the web traffic. If someone goes, it's amazing because you can see how someone moves through the web. And it's funny because then they put their awards up there and I'm like, does anyone know what these awards are?
Exactly. And I get it. Like at the start, when I first launched the first homepage of, Credo's first homepage and put some, quote unquote social proof on there, it was like seen on Product Hunt and, these places. And now it's like, we've helped these brands, right? And these brands trust our network. Yep. So, that stuff does change over time, but yeah, you're totally right. And I tell agencies, like, if you're not talking about who you are, what you do, and who you do it for, like that is the base. Those are the basics of an agency website. Who you are, like who's behind it, right? Where are you located? Like show some faces. I mean, it amazes me how many like marketing agencies out there don't show who's actually doing the work. Like who the heck am I actually gonna be talking to? It's unbelievable. They don't have an about page. I'm like, no team page, no location. I'm like,
I know.
Are you in Chicago? Are you in Florida? Are you in Denver? Are you in like Lithuania? Right? Like I don't care. No judgment either way. Just like give me something that lets me trust you. Right?
Yeah.
So who you are, what you do, so services you offer. And who you do it for, right? E-commerce companies like SEO for SaaS, SEO for e-commerce growth marketing, including SEO, PPC, Facebook ads. I don't care. Just make it clear so that people know what they can hire you for.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, that's amazing because I see that all the time. I see it too, like with, because we work with a lot of videographers and I'm like, I want to know who I'm working with. Like, I'm going to hire you. We're going to spend 12, 15 hours together. I want to know this person, right?
Right.
Totally. and not just have a phone call and hey, you've got a video camera. I know that because that's what you do.
Right.
Make some videos of yourself. And it's amazing to me. Agencies don't do that. And, we've helped agencies shoot video and I got so excited. I knocked my earbud out. And we see that all the time where it's like, show a pretty image and that's it.
Exactly. Well, and then also Ian, just on that front, I think it's important that you show, as a service provider, you show kind of like the purpose of what you're doing. And let me explain that. So in the SEO world, I've been in the SEO world for a long time, met some of my best friends through it, et cetera, built a business in the digital marketing world. But I see a lot of, I go to a lot of SEO agency blogs and that kind of thing. And they're all just talking about these little like tactical things. It's like the latest little thing change that Google made in their search results. And then they're like, why am I not getting better clients? I'm like, because you're talking about this minutia, this stuff that does not matter to the business. Like if you go into a VP of marketing's office and start talking about this sort of thing, they don't care. They're not going to hire you, right? Like, what do they care about? They care about this channel driving revenue for the business, right? And if you want them to pay you the money that if they're going to pay you the money that you want to be paid, they need to know that they're getting a return, right? This isn't like a passion for them. This is a business decision. If they pay you, if they put $1 in, they want to know that they're going to get $5 out in a reasonable amount of time.
Yep.
They really don't care what it is that you're doing. They care that they're going to get a result. That's what businesses care about. If you're not talking about that stuff, you're just talking about, a new little like canonical trick that you discovered. Doesn't matter. You're not going to attract the right people.
It's amazing to me that there's because we do video case stories for people and I go to every website and it's not on the homepage. I'm like, because if all you had were customer stories, you could win, right? Yeah. And they get into this technicals, and it's something I always call the curse of the expert. You think that that's what's important to people because it's what makes you better, but no one cares. No one wants a criminal defense attorney. They just don't want to go to jail. Right. they don't care where you went. They justify it with where you went to school. But if you've proven that you can keep me out of jail,
Yep.
I'm going to hire you.
You got it. You got it. Exactly. Exactly.
And I want to ask you some SEO questions because I love SEO, but
Sure.
I do. We're like, don't have minutia, but I want to get into some minutia. But
Yeah.
before we do that, how are agencies making sure that they are at that right level, that they have the right skill set to be on Credo, to be matched with the right people by someone like yourself?
Good question. I mean, like I said, what we look at when people are applying, to our network, and we just, opened up we're calling it our lead bank network at this point. So it's basically the leads. We have our top level done for you service. We kind of have three different levels on Credo. We have our top level done for you service. It's our sales pipeline as a service. Where basically we have, a number of agencies that are paying us anywhere from, $1,300 to $4,000 a month. And basically we're bringing in leads through our own systems, verifying them and then getting them scheduled with the right agencies, right? That's invite only. I can't I wish I had a system for bring on a new person and know that we're going to be able to generate that pipeline in the next month. That's not the way this business works, unfortunately. But our middle level, our kind of done with you service, basically is agencies, come in, apply, get certified, and we're looking for results, professionalism, and culture. We're looking for, can they prove that they get good results? Is their work professional, grade? And then also, are they good people to work with, right? And we can look at their website and that kind of thing and kind of get a feel, for that as well. So really that's what matters to us. And we're able to determine from a couple of clients that we see and all of that, whether or not, these people are actually getting good results. And I mean, the kinds of leads coming through Credo, they're primarily SEO, PPC, Facebook, ads, that sort of thing, a little bit of, content marketing, content creation, that sort of level, mostly US based. So on that level, basically they're on the network level, there are companies coming in that they're basically spending up to about $2,500 a month on marketing. The higher budget ones go to our pipeline members. But that lower level. So basically if you do SEO, content, PPC management, that sort of thing for clients that are spending, somewhere between, really it's like $1,000 to $2,000 a month with an agency, that's a great fit for marketing agencies.
Gotcha. And how do you see marketing agencies leveling up to the next level, making sure that they're able to charge that $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 a month?
Yeah. It's a good question. To be 100% honest, Ian, I don't see a lot of them doing it. I don't see a lot of them, dramatically increasing it. There's a few ways to do it. Number one, offer more services. Right. If someone's looking for, say you do just SaaS SEO, and you're really, really good at that, but and you're charging minimum, let's say $5,000 a month. There's a finite number of SaaS companies that just need SEO that can spend that amount, right? But if you kind of go to the also offering Facebook ads, right? Even if it's just kind of like basic retargeting and that sort of thing, right? You don't even have to have your own designer in-house. Use a design pickle or something like that, right? To scale it, then you're going to sign more clients and it's going to be at a higher budget as well, right? The other way to do it is honestly just raise your rates, right? You quoted someone $150, an hour, right? That's kind of your blended rate for this one that you just signed. Next one, pitch them at 160, pitch them at 170, pitch them at 180. Once you hit that ceiling, then you kind of know where your current value stops, what you're able to charge for it. Then you figure out how to add more value, or you wait more time and get more experience, and that's the value, and you're able to charge more because you've been doing it for 6 years instead of 5 years, and you've worked with these other brands and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, it's hard though, especially when agencies, as I said, are talking about more so the strategies and the tactics they do and not the business value that they're driving. Start talking about the business value that you're driving as an agency. You'll be amazed the amount of the amount more you're going to be able to charge.
Oh yeah, it is so important. I mean, and yeah, whatever you do, whether you are an agency or another business, I see this happen. I see this happen in every type of business. It's going to talk about the tactics instead of finding out what this person wants and really figuring out, hey, can we take them down that path, and then showing them that you can. And I used to make that mistake too. And now if I talk to someone, I spend a good hour and a half asking questions before putting anything together.
Yeah. My favorite question there, Ian, is why are we talking today?
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, that's a
And
good question.
and if they go, well, like, we're interested in, whatever, creating blog content. I'm like, okay, cool. Why? Right. And it's kind of like the 5 whys methodology, and make
Yep.
them get down to like, what is the thing that they're looking to get out of it? Right. They may come to you looking for content marketing, but ultimately they're trying to solve some problem in your business, in their business. If you help them get clear on that, and then show them how what you do will help them solve that problem. And maybe it is content marketing, maybe it's something else. And you have to be willing, like, to say that, like, this person isn't the right fit because they're looking for content marketing. It's not getting them to the problem, but they still just think they want content marketing. I would say don't bring on that client. Different people, work in different ways, but it's if you can show them that what you offer is going to help them solve that problem in the best way possible, better than anybody else, you got a client for life, as long as you can deliver on it.
Yeah. And then deliver on it. Yep.
Right.
Yeah. All right. So I'm going to take a little side street here because you've been talking SEO. What SEO tactics are working for you right now? Obviously you're probably doing it for Credo. You have a background. What do you see happening at SEO that's working really, really well right now?
Yeah. It's a good question. And most of my time goes into, building the business, building the team, keeping the team happy, sales and all that sort of thing. What's working for us in SEO these days, honestly, it's consistent content. People have always talked about it, but if you're like Google search engines, they are over indexing on recency of content is what I've seen. So if your blog hasn't been updated in 3 months, 6 months, especially, right, you're not putting out new things. Google honestly is going to deprioritize you a bit. Is what I've seen. So, being consistent in your content creation. Of course, that's also going to help you with targeting more keywords as well, right? Broader keywords. Yeah, they might be, higher in the funnel, but then if you're, thinking more holistically about marketing, it's not just how do I get a person to my site and get them to convert? How do I get someone to my site? How do I follow them around the web, show them that I can solve their problems, then ultimately get them into, a lead or, buying a product or whatever. So that's working well for companies across the board these days. It's interesting when it comes to like thinking about SEO. The way I go about SEO, the way I've gone about SEO for Credo is primarily it's through getting in front of the right audiences, and then making sure that we're using that in the best way possible, right? So I'll be completely honest with you, and it's hilarious that I'm admitting this on a podcast, because going on podcasts, I found that to be one of the best ways to build authoritative, relevant, et cetera, links back to your website.
Yep.
Right? Because the people that are coming here are marketers, and marketers are my audience. And so I get a link back from a site that's being visited by marketers who are visiting other marketing websites. And it makes sense for my site to have a link from there, So that's one that and obviously you have to have a name, a little bit of a name. You have to have an expertise. You have to be good on camera. You have to be good being interviewed, et cetera. But it's an incredibly effective way to build links. I've found one that not many people are doing.
It is. It's a great way, and a great way to meet people too, like yourself.
Exactly.
You get networking and link building in one. Yep. I love it. Awesome. So best way to get in touch with you and the best way to get onto Credo and use Credo. Explain to me let's start with how to use Credo from both sides. I'm a user, I'm an agency.
Yeah. So if you're client side, so you're a business that you work with agencies in order to grow your business, go to website is getcredo.com, GETCREDO.com. If you're on that side, click the get started button up in the top right. I would recommend check out the How Credo Works page, just to, we just outline, what it is that we do and how we do it. So you're kind of clear on the process. Fill out the form that's behind the get started button. And then schedule a call with my qualification team. They'll talk with you about your marketing, about what you're looking for, and ultimately, if we can help you, get you matched up with agencies and get you scheduled with them. If you're on the agency side, as I mentioned, we have 3 different offerings. Really, only the bottom 2 are opening. We have a course, an agency accelerator course is what I call it. It's like 4.5-5 hours of instruction, walking you through, starting with your website, walking you through lead generation, sales, proposals, pricing, et cetera. So that's there. And then if you're looking for leads, getcredo.com/network is our lead bank network. And honestly, that is where we also recruit from for our pipeline as a service offering when we have available inventory in that area.
Love it. Love it. And if someone wants to get in touch with you, have you on their podcast, what's the best place to go?
Tweet at me at DohertyJF, DOHERTYJF. That's really the best spot to reach me. You can email me, John, JOHN at getcredo.com. Please do not email me asking me how to get onto Credo. You can go to getcredo.com/pros and you can figure out how to get onto Credo there. If you want to have me on your podcast, happy to talk with you by email.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, John, thank you so much for being on the Garlic Marketing Show.
My pleasure, Ian. Thanks for having me, man.
All right. And thank you all for listening to John and myself. It's been the Garlic Marketing Show, and make sure to go check out Credo and think through your hiring process when you're hiring marketers, and don't do RFPs.